Let's face it, productivity sells. It makes the New York Times bestseller lists and garners millions of views on YouTube. It tells us that if we just squeeze a bit more work out of each day, get a little bit more done, we can finally achieve our dreams. I was tricked by these promises for years. I finally cut down the amount I was doing drastically, and in turn found that I was more productive than I had been in years. Let's talk about why we feel the need to be productive. Especially since the turn of the internet, we feel like our dreams are just within reach. If we only worked a little bit harder, if we only put in a little bit more effort, we'd finally achieve our dreams. It's the American dream on steroids. We're made to feel like if we aren't doing everything we've ever dreamed of, if we're not living the way we want to be, it's just because we aren't working hard enough, that we aren't doing enough. Productivity gurus, of course, are the perfect solution to this problem. If we feel bad about the amount of time we're spending watching Netflix or on social media, we can instead follow these gurus, listen to their advice, feel like we're getting something done. Maybe we even get a burst of motivation after watching one of those videos and we get something done off our to-do list and we feel really good about it. But when that motivation runs out, we just end up back on their page. Of course, all the while giving them money. Of course, most self-help influencers and productivity gurus do have a lot of good advice, and their end goal isn't always the bottom line. But the problem is that for a lot of the advice we hear, their definition of productivity is based on a false premise. I bought into the idea that productivity simply meant more output for years. I got into self-help as a way to organize my life in college. In high school, my to-do lists were just a bunch of tasks spread across a dozen index cards at any given point. I needed a way to organize everything I needed to get done, so I started learning about bullet journaling. And bullet journaling really helped me to stay organized when I started college. And from there, I got a lot deeper into the self-help community. And while a lot of real benefits were made to my life through the advice and the books I read and the YouTube videos that I watched, there was also this feeling that crept up on me, this feeling that I was never doing enough. No matter how much I got done in any given day, I never felt like it was enough. I felt like there was always something slipping through the cracks. And when this feeling persisted beyond college to my first corporate job, when I still felt like I wasn't doing enough, I realized I needed to make a change. That's when I began to think about lifestyle design. It started just by asking myself what I wanted my life to look like in 5 or 10 years, and then analyzing what I need to do to get there. I followed the way I was currently living to its logical conclusion. If I kept spending time on things like side hustles, drop shipping, reselling things, learning about how to make money in addition to the daily demands of cooking, of cleaning, and of course my job, where would I end up? Let's say I achieved success in one of my side hustles. If I started making money, would I be happy if I was still on this hamster wheel of productivity, of constantly needing to get more done? Would that fulfill me? That's when I realized that I had my priorities backwards. Instead of focusing just on more output, on making more money, on getting more done, I needed to focus on what made me happy, what made me feel fulfilled. And so what all that entailed was a very thorough examination of everything I was doing, examining all the parts of my life and figuring out what I could cut and what I needed to spend more time on. And that's when my definition of productivity changed. Now I define productivity as the systematic pursuit of meaning and fulfillment. Whereas before, my pursuit of false productivity led me to try to cut back screen time or time on distractions to get more done, my pursuit of true productivity now leads me to cut back on mindless distractions in favor of intentional, fulfilling rest. And instead of trying to get more done, I'm intentional about finding ways to cut back so I can make time for the things that are really fulfilling. My wife and I have been working to get rid of everything we don't truly need to reduce clutter, clean time, and mental decision making. That makes more time to pursue activities that fulfill me, like making videos or reading. But though you can switch the way you define productivity immediately, the pursuit of true productivity is a much longer, slower process. So here are the steps it takes to really figure out what true productivity looks like in your life. When you look back over the past 24 hours, what activities gave you fulfillment and joy? Those are the ones that you need to be pursuing. So the first step of finding productivity is defining exactly what is meaningful to you. So what activities over the past day have been fulfilling or satisfactory? And when you imagine your ideal life, what does it contain? What brings your life meaning? Why do those things give you fulfillment? Once you've defined what your most fulfilling, productive life looks like, you need to define the steps it will take to get there. And this is where patience comes in. Once you realize exactly what it is you want, exactly what it is that gives your life meaning, you'll probably want to achieve it as soon as you can, and that's great. But if you push yourself beyond your capacity, if you sacrifice rest time to try to achieve your most fulfilling life, that's just a recipe for burnout. So instead, try to move away from this idea of productivity as just increased output and slow down. Figure out a plan to achieve your dream life, one that's realistic and attainable. For example, my wife and I want to pare down what we own to just the essentials. And it's tempting to try to do this quickly, to get rid of, the non-essential belongings as soon as possible, to go through our closets, get rid of our clothes in a matter of days or weeks, but it's just not realistic. Instead, we've created a plan that actually fits our lifestyle. So what we've done is looked ahead to when we'll most likely be moving next May and said that we'll try to get rid of as much as we can by that time. So that means we just need to be spending a couple hours a week on cleaning out spaces, on figuring out which items we can sell or donate, and actually getting rid of those items. We defined a goal that will help us live a more productive, fulfilling life, getting rid of unnecessary things. And then we defined a way to get to that goal, a time frame for that goal that's realistic and achievable for us, and then the steps we need to take to reach that goal within the time frame. The great part about this is that true productivity often comes as soon as you start working towards those meaningful goals. When you stop feeling like you're just spinning your wheels chasing more money or success or the next job or whatever it is you've been chasing and start chasing real fulfillment, you start to feel that shift in productivity immediately. So take a step back, simplify your to-do list, pare down on the amount of things you do every day, define your ideal life, and then define the steps it'll take to get there. The satisfaction that doing good work brings is the productivity you've been chasing all along.